What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day. Eric here again for another SAS video. So today we're going to be taking a look at using SAS to show influential points as well as outliers and whether or not we would want to remove them or not. So before I begin, please do remember that teaching methods do vary, so please do confirm my notation and language with your professor. So now that I've gotten rid of my liability, we can go ahead and get started. So I already have my data in here, so if you need to figure out how to use data lines, I would suggest going back and looking at one of my earlier videos. I won't be talking about that today. So right off the bat, we are going to run procreg. So you have procreg data equals your data set as always, and then you're going to want model. Set your dependent variable equal to all the independents and predictors that you want in that model, and then you're just going to slash influence. So then on our third line of code, we're going to have output out is equal to influence. That influence will be the name of your new data set that you're creating. That's going to have our H equals leverage, which is going to help us determine if points are influenced or not, as well as DFFITS, which is our D-fits test, which is also going to help us determine influential points, and we're going to set that equal to diffs. So this diffs and leverage, those are just going to be what I call the test, right? So for yours, that could be different. The only thing that you need to make sure is that you keep these three things constant throughout the rest of your coding. Okay, so before we get any further, we're just going to run that just so we can see what it gives us. So the things that you really want to pay attention is up here. It gives you like the D-fit stats just in this column here. Or what's a lot easier is to just come down and look at your leverage graph right here. So anything that's going to be to the right of this little line, in my data set I have no points of like no influential points with high leverage. So to the right of this line would be where all the points would show up if you had high leverage. This here is also going to show you your outliers as well. So I do have one outlier. So my outliers would either fall beneath this -2 area or they would fall above this 2 area right here. And then if there's any points that fell in that little square right there, they would be considered both influential points and outliers. So what I want to do though is if you've got a data set with a lot of observations and not just 9 like I do, it's going to be a lot tougher to use that little matrix. So what we can do is we can actually set and dictate what we want, like the leverage values to show up. And we can do that with a simple proc print. So you're just going to have proc print data, and then you're going to want to set it equal to influence, or whatever the name that you chose to call our new data set that we have created. And then you're going to have your variables, and then you're going to have one variable that's just going to be able to tell you, the observation number. So if you're looking at MLB teams, you'd probably want to use team name. Just any variable that's just kind of like going to let you know which observation that is. And then your other variable you're going to want to use is going to be, first we're going to want to just look at leverage. So then our third code is just going to be where, and then we're going to have leverage is greater than or equal to, and then I'm just going to set at 0.3. Just depending on your data set is going to be, that's going to depend on what that threshold would be. So I'm just going to use an arbitrary 0.3 here. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what that's going to give us. And actually before I run that, I have the same proc print, just using the exact same, but we're just going to use it for the D-fits instead, just to give you once again using that 0.3. That number is going to be determined by an equation, which you can look up in the PowerPoints for D-fits, and that's going to be your threshold of rejection right there. So we'll run that, and I'll just show you how easy it is to see. So we'll run that. So here you can tell, nice, we've got these two cool little observation charts that tells us, okay, observation 3, 4, 6, and 7, those are going to be our points of high leverage, and then observation 2, 3, and 7 is going to be high in D-fits. So then the last thing I want to show you is a third little statistic that you can use to determine influential points, and that's going to be the Cook's D, right? So the Cook's D is essentially the D-fits but it just is going to do a better job of isolating the extreme cases. Okay guys, so now we're going to run our proc print procedure here to see our Cooks D data, and so it's just the same proc print data equals our new Cooks data set that we just created, and then I'm just going to have variable 1 and then the Cook D variable, which I created right up there. And then we're going to set once again we're going to set our parameters just to 0.3. This number will change depending on the equation. So now let's run that and we should get, so now we have our nice neat little chart with our two observations that have a greater than 0.3 Cook's D threshold. So that's going to be all for today. Hopefully you'll be able to get some use out of that. Do stay tuned for more videos. Have a good one.